All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Awesome. I love to hear that, Rick. We already got some invitations. We're going to grow this group. It's just going to keep getting better and better, you guys. And I kind of I came in and I was like, there were two things. There was like kind of two directions I wanted to go, two things we could talk about. And because today we're kind of in that, I don't, do we have a word for this space where it's like the end of one month, but also the beginning of another month, where it's day one of October, but we still have 4 days left in September? If there's like a name for that, can somebody please let me know? Because I feel like I'm always describing it. And we just need a word for this period, right? These 4 days.
The
So I would
cusp.
love to know in the chat if you are still grinding, running for a September goal, put a one in the chat. If you're like, nope, it's October. I'm starting fresh. I'm hitting the ground running for a new month. So a 1-4, I'm still focused on September. A 2-4, I am diving full force into October. Um, Limbo. That'll work. The cusp. Okay, well, maybe we'll have a little vote on what we want to call this time. Okay, so we got some October folks. No September folks? Okay. Y'all, I'm full. I am full. I'm full September right now. So I decided one of the things that I was talking to Christina about yesterday was about what has changed for me to quadruple my business in the past month. So I said September 1st, I started a 90-day run, said I was going to go all in, and I did. But it didn't look the way that you might think it did. But I decided that I'm going to share those things when my month is done. And my month is not done yet because I have 4 days to issue a good like 5 to 6 thousand. And so I'm gonna probably jump on that train for next week. But I love it. I love it. Carolina is already done with September. Goal is hit, and we are jumping into October. I love that. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Yeah, it's been a really exciting month, and I'm excited to share some of the things because, like I said, it wasn't just a lot of grinding or doing more. There were actual things that I can share that really supported the explosion, if you will, in my business, which I'm excited about. But instead, because kind of in relationship to that, as I was kind of diving deep and really looking at, okay, like what did I do? What can I share? How can I package, right, what I did in this past month, which we know is not just one month, right? When you have a killer month, it's not just what happened in that month, it's what happened in every month subsequently, right? It's what's happened before that that led us up to that. So but one of the things I want to dive right into, y'all know me, some of you. Hi, Trevor. We got a noob in the house. Trevor's here for the first time. Excited to have you. Love your vibe, man. You're the bright colors, the patterns, the personality you bring to the table. I just absolutely love having you in this space. So thank you for being
My running buddy,
here.
my running buddy.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
And Rick invited me today, so I'm honored and grateful to be here to be blessed with this kind of encouragement and just this invigoration of life.
I love it.
Nothing but the greatest words have come about you. So I'm
Oh,
here.
well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Incredible. Well, for those of you who have been here or who know me, you know that I love to talk about neuropsychology and how the brain works and how sometimes the brain is working for us and sometimes the brain is working against us. So, what I want to talk about today is the the thing that happens. This is going to sound really vague at first, I promise you, but we'll get more specific. The thing that happens when something happens. And when I say something, I literally mean anything. So, and our brain's response to things that happen and how that essentially creates our personality and who we are becoming, right? Because we hear it all the time, like do the work and become the different, the different version of ourselves that we get to step into. So I want to kind of like backtrack and like lay a foundation, and we might go all over the place, but I'll do some check-ins. If you guys are tracking, let me know. So anything that happens in the world, in our lives, in a day, on a call, in an appointment. Everything that happens is neutral, right? We've seen this in our world, right? Especially in current times, right? Or recent times. Something happens, and The happening of said thing is neutral. And then our brains decide how we are going to react or respond or feel about said thing. And that response, that decision that our unconscious mind makes on our behalf is based on our belief system, on our programming, on how our brain is wired in that moment. Right? I think politics is a I don't like to get into politics, but as an example, a thing happens and some people think it's the greatest thing and other people think it's the worst thing. And it's the thing itself is neutral, but it is our brain deciding whether we think it is good, bad, right, wrong. But in its essence, it is not none of those things. It just is. So what happens after our brain makes a decision of how we're going to feel about it, how we're going to respond about it. Another thing that happens is that we make it mean something. And with this, I want to dial in more specifically to something happens in your business, in your personal life, at home, with the kids, with a client. You get a chargeback. Somebody doesn't show up. You have a dial session and you don't set any appointments. You submit $10,000 in business and none of it issues, right? Like whatever the thing is that happens, drop a 3 in the chat if you have recently or are dealing right now with a thing that happened and maybe it doesn't feel very good. What happens is in this response reaction, our brain does not like to be confused. Our brain does not like questions. Our brain does not like incomplete circles or loops, if you will. And so, what our brain does is it makes it mean something. And so something happens and it's going back to that belief system. It's going back to that programming. And in most cases, this is different in children. Y'all, for some of you know that I'm reading a book about like how children's brains develop because I have one. But it's also really interesting to see how like in children's brains, it works a little bit differently. For us, we already have our belief system set. We already have our programming that's really, really strong. And so as we're deciding, we're making these things mean something. And in most cases, what we're doing is we're strengthening a story or belief that already exists. So if you have a story that you're not good enough and you book 5 appointments and none of them show up, you're making that mean that you're not good enough. You're making that mean that this isn't worth your time. You're making it mean that you should just give up and not, why dial if and set appointments if nobody's going to show up, right? Like if that's a feeling you felt before, a thought you've thought before, put a 4 in the chat of like, why am I doing this? Or see, proof. See, I'm not good enough. See, I'm not good enough. See, I'm not good at this. And so we hear it all the time. We got to do the work, right? We got to do the work. What does that mean? Be a different person. Become a different version of yourself. Cool. That sounds great. I love that idea. I love the idea of doing the work and I love the idea of becoming a new version of myself. Who here, put a 5 in the chat if you are crystal clear on how to do that. Like you have the path, you have the goal. Every day you feel like you're a new version of yourself. Every day you feel like you're putting in the work. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Sounds great. All right. Put a 6 in the chat if you're not super clear on that and you're like, cool, I love that idea, but can somebody please like tell me what to do? Like, can somebody break this down for me, you guys? Okay. So let's talk about that. I might go long this morning. If you got to dip at 9:15, super cool. But I'm just getting started on this tangent. So, and what this there will probably be a to be continued on this one, you guys. So doing the work here, spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with your business. Yes, doing the work in your business can create the behaviors, right? So we have thoughts and we have behaviors. And there's kind of two directions that we get to go when it comes to doing the work. If you guys are into psychology or therapy, there's different styles, right? There's cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Do different things and you will generate a different result. Cool. So that's part of it. Yeah, we get to do things. In a lot of cases, it's do more, right? You want the results, dial more, set more appointments, submit more applications, issue more business. Cool. Okay. Um, but we can only do so much while working against our thoughts. So we can do and do and do and do. But if we're not actually doing the work on the thought work, the mind work, we are going to be pushing up against like there's going to be resistance. And that's where burnout happens, right? We do more and we do more and we do more and we do more, but we're not actually getting down to the root cause of what's happening. Or we just feel like we're on the spiral, right? I'm dialing, I'm dialing, I'm dialing, I'm dialing. Nobody's setting appointments. I'm not setting appointments. I'm not setting. Okay, cool. So we're just doing more of the same. So what are we going to get? We're going to get more of the same. So something has to change, right? We have to get better. We have to seek out the support. So I want to talk just a little bit about doing the mental work, right? We hear about personal development, hear about reading. Cool. Reading is one, but how many people have read a book and never implemented anything? Right? How many people have read a book, love that idea, cool, but like you didn't answer the questions, you didn't implement the thing. Cool, but you've got a lot of knowledge in there, you got a lot of information in there. And so the work, if I could simplify it down to like what the work is, it's getting very curious and bringing the unconscious to the conscience. Okay, now, cool. How do we do that? There's lots of layers, right? So, kind of, we need to bring the 95%, right? 95, some say 94, some say 96. So I say 95. 94 to 96% of how we behave, of how we react, of how we respond, of how we feel, of how we interact in the world, of how we judge people or do all of that, 95% of that is being controlled by our unconscious mind. We're not consciously saying, like, oh, that thing happened, so I am going to feel this way about a thing. We have that choice, but that's not how we get through our days. Could you imagine if we consciously had to, like, choose and decide and logically think through all of the things that are happening? That's overstimulation. And so the work is to figure out what's driving that unconscious, bringing it to the conscious. And you guys, when you can do this, it is a superpower. When you can see something that is running the show behind the scenes and bring that into the conscious mind so that you can choose something different, that is a superpower. And spoiler, this is one of the things that I've done in this past month to quadruple my business in a matter of weeks because there are many modalities of doing this. There are visualizations, there are meditations, there is therapy, there is hypnotherapy. If you know Joe Dispenza's work, his work is about rewiring the brain. Absolutely, it would be exhausting, Valerie, 100%. So I feel like it's part of what I want to do as a leader and in this space is to help take that very like complicated, cool, that sounds, but like, what do I actually do? And like, let's make it really real. And I can't do that in 15-minute chunks, but what I can do is start to plant some seeds. And maybe you guys will come back for more next week. But what I want you guys to think about is just simply getting curious. Journaling for starters. If you're not in therapy, if you're not doing any of these like modalities to kind of access that part of our brain, journaling is fantastic for getting curious. Why did this happen? Why did I respond this way? Why do I feel this way? Why am I not getting the result that I want to get? Like, if I really needed to be really honest, like, what are you pretending not to know? Great question for a journal prompt. Like, what am I pretending not to know? I'm sure you guys have said, somebody have said, oh, like, cool, you got to get better at this thing. I don't know how. I don't know. As soon as it's I don't know, we don't have to do anything about it because I don't know. I don't know is an excuse. You do know. Your body knows. Somewhere in you knows. And if you truly don't know, that's an answer. You got to go find out. You got to go learn it. So this week, I want you guys to just get really curious of what is it like, what and pinpoint it. Like, what's the issue? What's the question? What is the thing that I need to become aware of? Or I need to understand what is that limiting belief I need to uncover? Because a lot of people are very vague of like, I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy. Yeah, that's general, but can we get more specific? Can we go back? And so what I want you guys to do is just kind of twofold, right? Get really curious. And I would love for you to come to next week with the thing that you want to get past, that you want to figure out, that you want to bring awareness to. And I think we're going to do some hot seat coaching next week of like, let's bust through that in 15 minutes. I can help one person bust through a limiting belief and get to the core so we know what to do to see the ripple of that work in our business, in our life, in our relationships, in our parenting, and how we show up in our lives and in our families and in our communities. So that is all I've got. Couple minutes late. I hope that gives you something just to like let it work in the background of the brain. Come back next week, invite a friend, have a question. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Oh, look at all those hearts. I love it. Um, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see where we can go with this. We're going to kind of keep this rocking and rolling. Go write some policies. Go blow up your October, or if you're still working on September. I will see you guys in the Mac room. I have 2 appointments. I have 2 interviews. I'm writing two. It's a two. It's a two, two, two kind of day. But I'll be in the Mac room in between. So I'll see you guys there. Love you so much. Happy October.
You rock, Mercy.